Hey guys, I'm Sydney Olsen. I've been getting a lot of requests on this channel to make a video on how to do a Raiden, so I figure let's finally do it. So just a little disclaimer before we start. Obviously there's tons of ways to do this and tons of ways to learn it, but I'm just gonna kind of go by progressions that I learned in order to get this. Oh, I'm just a little, there we go. That's a little bit better. Also, I'll be taking you guys through some of the problems that I see with people trying to do Raidens and how we can fix them, and especially the problems that I had learning it. So when I learned this move, it was completely self-taught. I had no idea what I was doing, and it took me a long time to understand it, but it is one of my absolute favorite moves to do now, and I'm so excited to share it with you, and hopefully you guys will have an easier time than I had learning it. Alright, so first thing that you should probably have is a good handstand block. As you go to do a handstand into the ground, your shoulders are gonna basically push off the ground like that. You kind of want that movement going on. So the next step is, hopefully, you can do that into a roll. So it's handstand block and then forward roll out. So the next progression is a front handspring. I have seen people do it without that, but it definitely helps, and I think it's gonna make your time learning a Raiden a lot easier if you can do a really solid front handspring first. Make sure that you're focusing on looking at your hands and holding that arch the whole way through, even on the landing. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna finally take this progression to the wall. And I'm not saying we're just gonna go right into it yet, but find a wall that's safe for you to do this. You probably will hit your feet on the wall a couple times as you do this, but we're gonna learn how to do it safely and try to avoid that as much as possible. You can either use a slant wall or a regular wall, it does not matter whatsoever. But if you can put like a little mat against the wall, it's gonna make things a lot safer for you. This next step is basically like the handstand block again, but you're gonna block off the wall and then you're gonna land with your hands on the ground and your feet touching the wall. And for this part, you can kind of put your hands pretty low on the wall. They don't need to be super high up right now. So this next part is great if you have a mat, but if you don't, I wouldn't really do this on hard ground. Do the same thing you just did, only you're gonna try and go over your head and land on your back. You're gonna push off that wall super hard and you're gonna kick your leg as hard as you can. Try and keep your shoulders open like this. Don't do this. Make sure it's nice and wide open. It's okay if your feet are gonna hit the wall on this time. I just want you guys to feel out the distance from the wall and to get the idea of what it feels like to rotate over your head after pushing off with your hands, because it feels a little weird at first. But at this point, you should already know how to keep your shoulders open. You should be able to hold the arch most of the way through, but now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go for the actual Raiden and see how it feels. Alright, so now that we've gone for the Raiden, let's talk about certain problems that a lot of people have with the Raiden. These are problems that I've specifically seen teaching people or problems that I've had myself. First one I see is reaching too high on the wall or too low. So what happens is if you reach up too high on the wall, then it's going to be really hard for you to kick your leg up enough to rotate. If you put it too low on the wall, then you're going to more than likely drive your feet into the wall. So you want a nice balanced distance between the two. Another problem I see is people jumping to the wall. So you want to kind of make sure that as you're going into the Raiden, you're kicking off as your hands are getting on the wall. You don't want to ever jump to your hands. Not only is it really bad for your wrist, but more than likely you're going to push away from the wall a lot and you're not going to be able to rotate or go up enough. A huge problem that I see is a lot of people don't keep their shoulders open. So they're here on the wall, which means that they're not going to be able to hold the arch. Therefore, they're not going to be able to snap over. So if you're here, then you need to make sure to open up your shoulders. So as you're hitting the wall, it should be like a really nice arch and you should be kicking that back leg a lot. Which brings me to the next problem, is a lot of people don't kick enough. When I do a Raiden, I take off of 1 foot. A lot of people will do it off of 2, but if you're gonna do it off of 2, just make sure that you're driving those heels as much as possible. And the last problem that I see is a lot of people like pike too soon. So you need to be able to hold that arch for as long as possible. In fact, it feels longer than it needs to be. That's how weird it is. As I'm doing this Raiden, what I'm doing is I'm running into it kind of aggressively. I'm putting that foot down on the ground. My hand is touching the wall as I'm kicking up as hard as I possibly can. My shoulders are opening up. I'm looking at my hands, and then I'm pushing off with the hands, still holding the arch, and then I'm gonna snap it down. And I'm gonna bring my chest up and land on my feet. Guys, that's about it. That's all I have to say about the Raiden. So if you guys have any questions, of course put them below. If you have any other ideas for tutorials, I would love to hear them. I think it's going to be something that I'm going to start doing on this channel. Or if you have just ideas for other kinds of videos in general, I'm trying to make 2 videos per week, and one of them is not going to be vlog related and the other one is. So if you guys have any ideas or things or content that you would like to see, please just let me know in the comments. And thank you, of course, so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.